Imagine not being Leeds, not feeling this pain, not dancing through thunder, not walking through rain. Imagine not rising with fists in the air when the world turned its back and no one would care. We've lived in the ashes, we've drowned in defeat, but still we stand proud on our battered old feet. Imagine not loving with all that you are. Imagine not being Leeds.
We love you, Leeds, Leeds, Leeds.
We do love you, Leeds, Leeds, Leeds. Now then, folks, welcome back to Imagine Not Being Leeds. Do me a favour, please. If you're happy and you know it, smash a like on this video. Please subscribe if you're new to the channel. Let's get into it. So, yeah, Elland Road last night were bouncing. Fantastic, fantastic performance by everyone, including Mr. Daniel Farke. He's coming for a lot of stick recently, not more so than on this channel. And I'll call what I see. I call out when I see poor performances by players, by the manager. We'll discuss it on here, and we'll try and be objective, and we'll try and see both sides. And when it comes to manager as well, you know, I've tried to be fairly balanced up to a point. And then after Forest, you know, I got quite downbeat about the manager. Mainly the fact that I didn't see the change. I didn't foresee him changing. The fact that Farke got us promoted held some weight for me. Definitely held some weight for me. And I wanted him to stay at the club. We had it under Bielsa, where you just wanting to adapt when it isn't working. And, you know, you should always have a philosophy and maybe principles you stick by, and you should show strong sort of management qualities that you sort of drive that forward. But when it appears it's not working and there's potentially a better option, you've got to explore that. And it's quite funny how backs against the walls at City, Dan James injured, he goes to a 3-5-2 at City, and in that 45 minutes, you know, that second half, we win the game 2-1. You know, we go 45, 46 minutes, we're leading that half 2-0 before they snatch that late winner. So yeah, you don't get any points for that, but you can take a lot of pride in that performance, and we've taken it there into last night's game against Chelsea. The lineup we all wanted to see, you know, personnel pretty much as I expected, really, as well. If he went with the formation we hoped, there's tweaks in there you can do. You know, as we saw in the second half, Okafor can play up there. You know, whether you play Pirro as one of the two, whether Longstaff's fitting, he fits in there. You know, there's variables in there. You can look at it and say a few personnel tweaks potentially, but I would say that is the strongest side we could put out in a 3-5-2 formation, in my opinion. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. I thought all the outfield players, especially, we'll get onto Perry in a bit. The only sort of negative for me is Perry. But I think everybody just suits that system. Now, it's a game and a half now. 5 goals scored against, you know, City and Chelsea. Only 2 conceded in, you know, 135 plus minutes of football against the best players, you know, in the Premier League, best in Europe, some of the, you know, right up there with the best in the world. And I just think I'm hoping that this is, because what we're seeing now is it looks like the players that we brought in and the players we already had at the club are, this favours them. Does this position, this system, it favours the personnel we have at the club, and I'd have to say that looks evident. I hope it's not a fact of a bit of shock and awe. You know, it's a new system. We know Chelsea were in two minds. They will have definitely planned for Leeds to play 3-5-2, but it was still more likely that we're going to play 4-3-3. City obviously had no clue, hence what happened with Donnarumma. They had to sort of do some out of the ordinary to get a bit of a new game plan out there in second half. So I would hope that the performances we've seen the last game and a half, especially, is evidence and proof that this is the blueprint. That's what this video is about. Really. This is the blueprint now for me for this side going forward. You know, we're not too bothered about where we're going to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. You know, we would love to be an established Premier League club vying for trophies. Then that's the dream as a Leeds fan. That's the dream, I'm sure, for the board and the manager and the players, whoever's still here. But the sort of goal now, short-term goal, is probably the most important goal. It's stay up this season, and I think and obviously there's sacrifices to be made if you play 3-5-2. There's a potential when Dan James is fit, he can't get in the side from the start. You know, people say he might play at right wing back. Yeah, that's all well and good. Maybe he can. He's played there for Wales, but he isn't going to displace Bogle. And if Bogle gets injured, it wouldn't be Dan James. I think could come on. Willing Onto already surplus to requirements when we're playing a 4-3-3 system. A 3-5-2, does Willing Onto get on as that second striker? You'd have to say no when you've got Metchard and DCL. Then you've got Pirro and Okafor fighting out for that next spot as well. And you'd have to suggest probably Okafor, after what we saw, would fit well in that system, maybe as a starter too. So we've got options. I think the 3-5-2 gives Farke and this team and this squad a lot of options, but it will come at a cost for certain players. You know, all of a sudden, Now comes on. You know, Now will now feel closer to getting minutes. Hence, an extra centre back off the bench goes onto the pitch to make a 3. He then becomes that next player in line. James Justin looks more likely to maybe get more minutes as well. You know, with the energy and the workload the fullbacks have to get through, there's maybe a chance James Justin comes on for the last 10, 15 minutes most weeks. There's more chance maybe you get an injury or two to them because they're having to play such a high sort of dynamic game. Bogle and Goodmanson, up down. There's more of a tendency we may need to look at James Justin a few more times this season than maybe we would have done in a different system. So there'll be players who are definitely for this, and there'll be players who probably it doesn't work in their favour. But I think for Leeds to stay up, which, like I say, is the main goal this season, I think this is the blueprint. It has to be. And Farke said a few times, numerous times now, that you can't play this every week. But for me, we play the 4-3-3 every week. So if it's horses for courses, I understand. Let's see a 4-2-3-1 some weeks. Let's see a 4-3-3. Let's see a 4-4-2. Let's see a diamond. Because ultimately, there's a different formation. You know, plenty of formations out there, and certain ones will you can tailor make for certain opposition. I get that. 3-5-2 might not work every week. But like I say, neither will the 4-3-3. And this 3-5-2, I think, gives our players the most comfortable sort of system to go express themselves. I feel like the players are very more sort of like advanced past the halfway line. You know, you see Gruev nipping in and getting an assist last week. You see Gruev, you see Ampadu yesterday in and around the opposition box. When do you ever see that? And we still look solid. We've still got defenders. We've still got, you know, having that extra defender there gives license a little bit more for midfielders to get a bit further forward, which we've needed because, you know, it's been a long time since we've seen a midfielder get on edge at box and score that kind of goal Tanaka scored. You know, and Gruev and Tanaka were involved at City too in creating Calvert-Lewin. So I think it gives us so much. I think defensively, we've got an extra body in there. Great cover, Rodon and Strauch out wide when one of us fullbacks gets caught high up. I think it works really well. I think Biol as a sweeper, outstanding. Just sweeps everything up in there. That's his probably natural role. Plays there for Slovenia. Great player. I think it just enhances everyone's qualities and takes a bit of the weaknesses away as well, playing this direct formation. But it has to be direct football for me. We can pass it from the back and vary at times, but the long ball to DCL, Metchard, with bodies closer to him, works a treat. And that has to be the blueprint. We absolutely battered Chelsea. Absolutely battered them. Yeah, we didn't have as much ball. And apart from Everton, I'll say this again, apart from Everton, outside that, every other game we've got points in. So the other 11 points we've got have all been in games with less possession. Again, high intensity, winning the ball back, triggers, press, win the ball back, go. And they couldn't live with us. They were frightened. They were playing with fear yesterday at times with Chelsea, especially that first half. We were all over them. And I wasn't sure this side had it in them for 90 minutes. We saw that yesterday. We finally saw a 90-minute performance of what Leeds can do. And yeah, we could talk about technicalities and are they the most fluid, flamboyant, sort of skillful players? Are they, you know, match winners in terms of that flair and that X factor? No, but you don't need to be. If you're all dialed into a system and an identity like that, it'll work. And that yesterday was 11 lads out on the field who knew who they were, knew what they had to do, and went out and executed it perfectly. Daniel Farke set them up brilliantly yesterday, and he gets credit from me for that. I just want to see this continue. And if that continues and we are picking up points in the best formation, the best style that this group of players needs and should play in, then there's no need to change the manager. In-game, got it spot on yesterday. The first time for me in a long time we've seen it in-game. They made a sub, even brought a sub on just after them to counteract it. Brought Gruev in for Tanaka. Thought Tanaka were brilliant. He comes in, does Gruev, and you know what he's in there. He's in there to break play up. He's there to keep things tidy, keep things ticking over. And he did that well. I thought his subs were spot on yesterday. I really, really enjoyed not only the players' performance, but even Daniel Farke's. I've been highly, highly critical of Farke. Highly critical. But you've got to get, I'm not one of them. I've got to give him his flowers when he deserves them. And he got that spot on yesterday. And now we've moved, don't we? You're only as good as your last game. We go again, Liverpool. Can we do the same thing? So he's had his press conference today, as Daniel Farke. So obviously the bulk of the fan base want exactly the same lineup, exactly the same system, everything. And then we hear DCL and Metcha are major doubts. This is a massive problem. I would suggest, in my opinion, there'll be at least one of them fit. I don't know if that's just me clutching, but I just would have thought there'd be one of them fit at least. DCL is probably the main one you need. Metcha looks a different, different beast at the minute. That goal he took really well that were chopped off, rightly so. I think DCL been offside when ball comes in initially, but great instinctive finish by Metcha. He looks a bit of a beast in there, and I'd back him to keep scoring if he's getting an hour plus on the pitch. I'd back him to get a goal against Liverpool too. But I think DCL so vital in that. I don't just want to say long ball. It's not about just building it up from defence. We do build up in other ways. We are aggressive. We get the ball up quick, even if it is on the floor at the minute. It really is. He's our focal point. Whether it's coming in high, coming in at his feet, the ball does stick with DCL. So out of the two, you'd probably want DCL to play, and then it gives you the opportunity to have Okafor and DCL up top, or Pirro and DCL up top. What I will say is, if we have injuries to both, it may lean into a different formation for this one. We may have to go back to the 4-3-3 with an Okafor or a Pirro as that focal point, which won't be ideal for me. But if they're injured, then you can't really say much about a formation change and a stylistic change for this game. We've played well out of the 3-5-2 at Elland Road this season. Played brilliant in a lot of games this season. There hasn't been a poor performance at Elland Road in my eyes. It's been poor results, but not poor performances. Again, late kickoff against Liverpool. This will be a very difficult game for Liverpool. We are buoyant going into Liverpool. Buoyant. The roof came off of Elland Road. They've got a couple of days to get a new one on it before it comes off again, hopefully. But Liverpool are Liverpool, on the day, they've got match winners all over. I think Salah's their top scorer on 4 goals, which isn't a lot for their Liverpool's top scorer after 13 games. But, if he can find his shooting boots and he gets minutes at Elland Road, would you back him to put to bed his poor form potentially? Because he's been well out of it at the minute. He's having a poor season, but he's still the top scorer. But usually, they're almost on a goal per game out of the Liverpool's top scorers. But Ekatike, they've got so many talent. Verts, could this be the game where he finally starts performing? I hope not. What I will say is, when you look at their weaknesses, they're very frail at the back. They're not great defensively. They've only conceded 5 goals less than us, which is a lot. 5 goals, less than us is a lot of goals, but it's still a lot they've conceded. To only be, for how poor we've been, how many goals we've been conceding, 2 a game on average, to only be five goals better than us in terms of what they've conceded. It's not great for the champions, and would have been everyone's tip, I think, at start season to win it again with the money they've spent. Isak as well. They've got a lot of players, great players, world-class players, but they're just not quite hitting the heights what they should be hitting. It's going to come at some point. You've just got to hope it's not at Elland Road on Saturday. They definitely struggle with the way we played against Chelsea. If we can replicate with the same personnel, if everyone's fit, if we can replicate the performance against Chelsea, we will beat Liverpool. They are very fragile at the back. Van Dijk isn't what he was. Kanate, very, very, very poor at times this season. The direct football, they really struggle with that. Having 2 big men up top that we hopefully will have, they will definitely struggle with that. Put pressure on their back line and they will crumble, in my eyes. The fullbacks haven't been at it too well this season. We can definitely get in behind. Goodmanson could have a really good game again in this. I think him and Bogle down the flanks. Honestly, my heart of hearts is telling me now that we win on Saturday as well. And what a flip mentality-wise I've got. Just me, little old me. I thought we'd lose against Chelsea. I thought we'd lose against Liverpool. I thought we had a tough run after that. And everyone kept on overlooking them games, thinking, oh, that's a tough run over. It's not. They're in an easy sort of period this season for me. In the Premier League, every game's tough, whether we've got Sunderland, Crystal Palace, Brentford, all the big boys before that, they're all tough games. And we need to be as close to our best for as many games as possible to give us a chance. And what we saw against Chelsea gives me renewed hope that we can do that. These players aren't as bad as what people said. Our transfer window was not as bad as what people have said. It wasn't. Farke just wasn't getting the best out of the squad because we weren't playing the right system. If we can perform like that on Saturday, we beat Liverpool, and we beat Liverpool well. I can't believe I'm saying that with so much passion and so much belief in it. I'm not just saying it's not empty words. I actually think we can beat Liverpool on Saturday. Would you take a point? Yeah, I would. But I tell you what, perform anything like that from now to the end of the season, and we've got more than enough to say in this division. And if Farke can keep it like this, yeah, there'll be losses. You can't win every week. There'll be losses. There'll be hard times. Of course, I will. But can he put the best side out there in the best system to get the best out of them? He did at half-time at City, and he did yesterday at Elland Road. Does that Saturday, does that week after, and we go as a group, marching on together, and all the vibes. I am Vibes FC at the minute. So, yeah, looking at Liverpool, I definitely think we can get at them. It's more about what we do rather than them. I'm big on, they need to perform under par, and we need to overperform. No, none of that. We just stick to our game plan, which I think against Liverpool will work. They play a high line. We can definitely get that defence. Definitely. And if our midfield, if Ampadu and Tanaka can have a similar sort of game, Stack, great delivery at set pieces. Set pieces are massive for Leeds United now. We are big bastard FC, especially having another body in there in Biol. Be ideal if Tanaka took them and you could get Stack in box too, but I won't be too greedy. We've got some big bastards FC in there now, and we look threatening at set pieces. But when you limit a side like Chelsea to 2 shots on target, when they're beating Barcelona last week, drew against Arsenal with 10 men, and you limit them at Elland Road to 2 shots, you've got to be confident playing against an unconfident Liverpool side at the minute, who's only won 2 games in 9. Their away form's poor. The first half of their away performances, very poor. Don't score many goals in the first half away from home Liverpool. Let's go do what we did to Chelsea. Start hot, get a goal or 2 up, and see how it goes from there. But I'm very confident. Very confident. Well done, Daniel Farke, for yesterday. Give you your flowers, 100%, and well done, boys, because that was outstanding. So, yeah, that's me having a bit of a waffle about how good I'm feeling after a negative month or so. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please do me a solid. Please smash a like on the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new here. And late night Leeds tomorrow, 10 p.m. Get that notification bell hit as well, and make sure you're back for 10 o'clock tomorrow. I've got a Leeds United quiz. We'll be reviewing the City and the Chelsea game, previewing the Liverpool game. Loads of fun little segments and graphics and bits going on. Come and watch, hopefully, the most entertaining Leeds show on YouTube. That will be tomorrow at 10 o'clock, late night Leeds. So, yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate the support. Take care, everyone. And I'm just so glad I'm smiling again. Thanks a lot.